Over 4.5 billion years ago, Earth was a harsh and empty place. No trees, no animals, just bare rock everywhere. The ground shook as huge volcanoes erupted, sending lava into the sky. This was how Earth began its long transformation. From this wild and violent start, our world slowly took shape. The journey from then to now is a story of incredible changes, filled with disasters and the amazing appearance of life. This story begins in a cloud of gas and dust from ancient stars that had died long ago. Slowly, gravity pulled these tiny particles together, forming bigger and bigger clumps. In the middle of this swirling cloud, our sun was born, a bright star that would become the center of our solar system. But the sun wasn't alone. Around it, smaller clumps of matter started to come together, forming planets, moons, and other space objects. Earth, in its early days, was a hot ball of liquid rock and metal. The surface was a fiery, chaotic place, constantly hit by asteroids and comets. One of these collisions was with a Mars-sized object called Theia. The impact was so massive that it knocked a huge chunk out of Earth. The debris from this crash eventually came together to form our moon, which later helped stabilize Earth's tilt and gave us the seasons we have today. The early Earth, known as the Hadean Eon, was a world of fire and brimstone. For nearly 500 million years, volcanic eruptions spewed toxic gases into the atmosphere, and the planet's surface was a molten ocean of lava. But beneath this fiery exterior, the building blocks of life were beginning to take shape. As Earth slowly cooled, a solid crust began to form. Water vapor released from the molten rocks and from comets crashing into the Earth condensed into liquid, filling the first oceans. These were the primordial seas, where life would soon begin its journey. About 3.8 billion years ago, during the Archean Eon, something extraordinary happened. In the depths of these early oceans, simple molecules began to combine, forming the first building blocks of life, amino acids and proteins. It was here, in these dark, nutrient-rich waters, that the first life forms emerged. Tiny, single-celled organisms known as prokaryotes. These microscopic pioneers were the ancestors of all life on Earth. They thrived in environments that would be hostile to most life today, feeding on chemicals in the water and reproducing through simple cell division. For hundreds of millions of years, these simple organisms were the only life on Earth, slowly diversifying and evolving in ways that would eventually change the planet forever. One of the most significant events in Earth's history occurred around 2.4 billion years ago, when some of these simple organisms evolved a remarkable ability: photosynthesis. By harnessing the power of sunlight, these cyanobacteria could convert carbon dioxide and water into glucose and oxygen. At first, this oxygen was absorbed by iron in the oceans, creating vast deposits of iron ore. But as the oceans became saturated, oxygen began to build up in the atmosphere. This was the Great Oxidation Event, a time of profound transformation. Oxygen, which was toxic to many anaerobic organisms, began to accumulate, leading to the extinction of countless species. But for others, this new, oxygen-rich environment opened up a world of possibilities. The stage was set for the evolution of more complex, multicellular life. As the Earth entered the Proterozoic Eon, life began to diversify. Around 1.6 billion years ago, the first eukaryotic cells appeared. Unlike the simple prokaryotes, these cells had a nucleus and other specialized structures, allowing for more complex functions. These eukaryotes eventually gave rise to multicellular organisms, the ancestors of plants, animals, and fungi. The oceans were now teeming with life, from simple algae to more complex organisms that formed the first rudimentary ecosystems. The Earth's atmosphere continued to evolve, with oxygen levels gradually increasing, paving the way for even more complex life forms. Then, about 541 million years ago, something remarkable happened, an event known as the Cambrian explosion. In a relatively short span of geological time, life on Earth underwent a dramatic burst of diversification. This was a time of rapid evolution, with new species appearing at an unprecedented rate. The oceans were now filled with a dazzling array of life forms. from trilobites and brachiopods to the first primitive fish. Hard shells, exoskeletons, and other defensive adaptations emerged, marking the beginning of the complex food webs we see in today's ecosystems. This explosion of life laid the groundwork for the vast diversity of species that would follow. As life flourished in the oceans, plants began to colonize the land, followed by insects and the first amphibians. The stage was set for the rise of the dinosaurs, which would dominate Earth for over 160 million years. These were creatures of immense size and diversity, ranging from the towering sauropods to the fearsome carnivores like Tyrannosaurus rex. The continents were on the move, gradually drifting apart to form the land masses we recognize today. The climate was warm and humid, with lush forests and vast deserts stretching across the globe. But even the mighty dinosaurs were not immune to the forces of change. Around 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid struck the Yucatan Peninsula, triggering a series of catastrophic events that would bring their reign to an abrupt end. With the dinosaurs gone, a new era began, the Cenozoic, often referred to as the Age of Mammals. Mammals, which had been small and relatively insignificant during the age of dinosaurs, now had the opportunity to diversify and fill the ecological niches left vacant by the extinction event. From tiny rodents to towering mammoths, mammals spread across the globe, adapting to a wide range of environments. This era also saw the evolution of primates, the group to which humans belong. Around 7 million years ago, in the forests and savannas of Africa, our earliest ancestors began to walk on 2 legs, setting the stage for the emergence of Homo sapiens. The Earth continued to change with the onset of the ice ages around 2.6 million years ago. Vast glaciers advanced and retreated across the continents, shaping the landscape and creating the conditions for human evolution. Our ancestors adapted to these harsh conditions, developing tools, controlling fire, and eventually forming complex societies. The Ice Ages were a time of both challenge and opportunity. As the glaciers retreated, they left behind fertile valleys and rivers, allowing human populations to grow and spread. It was during this time that Homo sapiens began to migrate out of Africa, eventually reaching every corner of the globe.